Sitting before me today, we have two of the absolute finest early revolving American firearms. We have a J&J Miller revolving pill-lock rifle, and we have a Colt ring trigger revolving rifle. One of the cool things about these two guns is they kind of bring, again, back into focus how firearms evolve over time. Samuel Colt gets all the credit for revolving firearms, and he deserves, almost all of the credit he gets. He was a very influential figure in the evolution of firearms and popularizing the revolver especially. This Miller design here at the back was actually patented in 1829, whereas Colt's ring trigger, one of his very first firearms, was actually patented in 1836. So the Miller design actually comes out before Colt is even in the firearms business. And you can see, when you look at these two guns side by side, how some of the aspects of a gun like this are incorporated in Colt's design. Now, Colt's design is actually quite a bit different in the way it works, but you can see there's a lot of similarities, a lot of crossovers as things evolve over time. This pattern by the Miller brothers became commonly known as the Billinghurst revolving rifle because Billinghurst later took over production of these and produced more of them than just about anybody else. They were also manufactured by several other New York gun makers. So on the Miller design, it's manually revolved, like I said. You can see there's little serrations here that'll help you get a grip on the cylinder while you do so. So first you're going to bring the hammer back. That takes the striking face here off of where the primers would be. Then there is a little latch right down here. You pull that forward and this will turn. See, it will go either direction, but you want to go right. So when you rotate between the chambers, the latch will automatically drop back. And the chambers are numbered to help you keep track of which one's which, and so you know how to operate the firearm. So for each shot, you would have to bring this all the way back to full cock, just like most early firearms that incorporate a lock into the design. Then you would just pull the trigger. This is going to slam down onto the priming pill here, cause a small primary explosion, ignite the black powder, and propel your projectile at the front of the barrel. The Colt design, in basic firearms, how the ignition's going is going to go very similarly, except for it does use more standard percussion caps. And I'm not going to operate this one because of its immaculate condition and how the Colt design works. I don't want to risk doing anything to this beautiful firearm. So the Colt revolving rifle, this early ring lever rifle, operates a little bit differently. The basic mechanics are the same. You're going to have an external primer igniting the powder that projects the ball out of the barrel. But this one uses percussion caps, so you can see the more standard percussion nipples here at the back of the cylinder. So for the standard mode of operation for this Colt, it's different than a normal revolving firearm that most people are used to. You don't cock a hammer and that automatically revolves the cylinder like most later Colts. Instead, this early one has a ring lever. When you pull that lever, that's going to revolve the cylinder. It also cocks the internal hammer. And then you'd pull the trigger and it would fire. And you would do that again, just almost like a lever action rifle, where you operate the lever to run everything. That's how this works. And then that revolves the cylinder, and then boom, you can fire the gun multiple times before you have to reload. So as you can see, looking at these two incredible early revolving firearms, both of these guns are very advanced for the time period. The US military is using single-shot muzzleloaders as their primary firearms, including their handguns, basically all the way up to the 1860s. Here we've got guns that fire multiple shots without reloading. Obviously, these guns are more expensive than your standard firearms of the period, which is part of what keeps revolving firearms from being adopted widely by the government this early. But unlike, say, the fancy revolving firearms of Europe in the 18th century, these guns could be owned by regular citizens, obviously probably more well-to-do ones. If you take a look at the Miller patent at the back, there's beautiful engraving. It's got a nicely figured stock. These are actually gold inlays here. So again, up in the price, you've got a silver butt plate. So plainer versions of the Miller patent are known to have been used by more regular average citizens, people that depended on firearms for their livelihood. They're not something that could only be owned by a high wealth individual from New York City in the East. They could be owned by people in the West, and there are photographs from the period of people with early revolving firearms. We know that Some of Colt's early revolving firearms that come afterwards, like the Model 1855 revolving rifles and carbines, were used in the Civil War, for example. So you can see in both of these firearms aspects that became standard in revolving firearms by the 1850s. They both have revolving cylinders, they're round cylinders, they're using a form of percussion ignition. This one's a pill lock, that one's using percussion caps, which became the standard. And they both are long guns, which is kind of interesting. A lot of the early revolving firearms are long guns, but very quickly, once Colt launched especially his second enterprise in the 1840s, revolving firearms became primarily handguns. And part of that is to do with gas leak from the front. You can burn your hand, when the shot comes out, there's going to be some gas that comes out of the front of the gun. There's aspects like that. We don't need to get into all those details. But you can see that these are both very high condition, incredible firearms that are worthy of, a really fine collection. Especially, this Miller patent is, again, one of my favorite firearms in the entire auction. It is stunning. This is by far the finest Miller patent revolving firearm I've ever seen. And this ring trigger is also, it's gorgeous. Look at the blue, look at the condition of the wood. It's a stunning piece. And both of these are going to be available in our August Premier Firearms auction.